Welcome to Trauma Recovery Anonymous, the podcast. My name is Richard and I am your host. I'd like to challenge you to your state of mind, your state of being. The truth is that we go to a doctor for help with any illness or any problems we have. We go to a medical professional to look for a solution. And in most cases, if you have a problem and you go to a doctor of any kind, they're meant to offer you a permanent solution. So take it that you break your leg, you go to a doctor, they put your leg in a cast, they give you medication for the physical and emotional pain, they tell you to take the weight off the leg and to rest it, and then after a short while take the cast off and do some rehabilitation work, and then your leg is back to normal. Well, mental health professionals, you go to a mental health professional looking for help, and they only have about 15 minutes of that first session to diagnose what's wrong with you so they can offer you some form of a solution in the rest of the time they have with you in that first session. And granted, when you go to see a mental health professional, you don't go and bandy about how things are. You tell them how bad it might be, how bad it might feel. And from that presentation, they diagnose what condition you might have. And so if you're talking about depression and despair and anger and rage and frustration and suicidal thoughts, they could come up with depression, PTSD, bipolar, some sort of condition that represents how you're presenting in that moment. But allowing that one event, those 15 minutes, to define your whole understanding of who you are for all of your eternity is quite insane. You're more than just 15 minutes. You're more than just a bad mood or a bad sensation of feeling. You've so much more to you than that one presentation of who you are and how you feel. And yet, if you're diagnosed with, say, PTSD, then there are 6 or 7 criteria that they can treat you for in that whole bracket. That before you know it, you're being treated for all sorts of different conditions with all sorts of different medications. And if it isn't working, there's a very good chance that you're one of the 39% of people that mental health professionals have admitted were misdiagnosed. Out of 1 billion people in the world today diagnosed with mental disorders, you could be one of the 390 million people misdiagnosed. If the treatment you're on, if the treatment you've been under for the last number of months, years, or decades isn't working, isn't offering you a permanent solution, there's a very good chance you were misdiagnosed. I'm not trying to find fault with the mental health professional. They're doing their best with what they have. If you come to them and they may be the 6th or 7th client they've seen that day, all coming with the same moods or behaviors, well, it's very likely that they're going to diagnose you the same as the previous person. And if you're presenting with depression and suicidal thoughts and anger and rage and frustrations, then you meet the criteria for PTSD or bipolar or manic depressive or some condition that they understand. And they want to offer you a solution. So they can only offer you a solution for what they treat. So they look in the cupboard of what they treat to find some mantle, some label that will match your presentation. But the problem is your presentation on that day isn't the full capacity of who you are. And so if it turns out you've been in therapy for months, years, even decades, and nothing's getting better, and you go from therapist to therapist, therapy to therapy, you're on multiple medications causing a chemical imbalance within your very being by putting these man-made chemicals into your body, altering your psyche mentally and emotionally. It's going to change you. You're not going to be the person you were the very first time. You've changed. And all this therapy for something that you may not have, all these medications you've taken for something you may not have, will have altered you. And it's very hard to go back to the person you were. But the truth might be you were misdiagnosed. If you've been in therapy for months, even years, and there's no solution, then the solution you're being offered isn't the right solution for you. If the doctor says you've got a broken leg, we're going to put your arm in a cast, you kind of go, no, my leg is the pain. And they say, no, trust us, we're going to put your arm in a cast and leave your leg alone. There'd be something very wrong. Well, if you're being treated for depression and you don't actually have depression, If you have a past trauma that's intruding upon your life, understand that you only exist in this moment in time today. Whatever happened in your past happened to your inner child. It happened to another person in another lifetime. It may be the same aspect of you, but a different aspect. I'm a 65-year-old man today. The aspect in my past was a 12-year-old child. I am not a 12-year-old child. I am a 65-year-old man. Everything about our lives are completely different. I can't go around telling you I was molested at the age of 12 because I'm only 65. I can't be anything but 65. So bringing what happened to a 12-year-old child into my present and trying to own it in the present is a lie. It didn't happen to the person I am today. So I can't have depression, PTSD, or any other condition over an event that happened to somebody else. I've made the mistake of carrying the memory of what happened to that child and sympathy pains for that child for the loss of innocence he experienced as a show of support and solidarity for what he went through. But he went through the event, not the person I am today. Science tells us it's all about cause and effect. The cause is what happened to my inner child. The effect is how it manifests in my life today. The effect isn't the problem is the cause. I have to be treated for the cause. And there's only one way to treat for the cause. To understand it's none of my business. It didn't happen to me. I must return all of the details and the baggage of the past event back to that 12-year-old child so he can step into the light, leave this plane of existence and be free. And by him taking all those details and baggage back, I'm free to live my life in the present moment. What happened in the past didn't happen to me. It's none of my business. I may have been conditioned to believe it's my business to suffer it, to fight it, to endure it. But that's not the promise that my inner child made to me. My inner child overcame that trauma so I'd be free to have a life today beyond their wildest dreams. They never asked, wanted, or needed me to fight their battles. That wasn't part of their recovery plan. They sacrificed so much so I'd be free today to have a life beyond their wildest dreams, that for me to dig up their grave and go back in the past and take all their pains and hurts and bring it into the present and to walk around telling the whole world that what happened to that child happened to me is a betrayal of my inner child. I'm self-sabotaging my life by bringing the death, decay and disease of that past event that happened to my inner child into my life and trying to own it in the present. And I become their hostage taker. I take them hostage in my present and they can't cross over into the light because I'm holding them hostage against their wishes. Our inner child wants to leave this world and they can't leave until they have all of their baggage. And the only way they're going to get their baggage back is if we, each of us, make a decision to give the details and the baggage of that past trauma back to them. And Trauma Recovery Anonymous enables each of us to do this. We get to meet our inner child. So for one moment, take a deep breath in, close your eyes, breathe into your nose, and exhale softly to your mouth. Take about 4 or 5 of these breaths, and this in your mind's eye, imagine you're now sitting across from your inner child. So for me, it's a 65-year-old man sitting in my office opposite a 12-year-old child. For you, maybe you're a veteran today looking at that 18-year-old version of you who enlisted to go off to fight in the war. Maybe you're a 47-year-old dad today looking at the 27-year-old version of you who lost a child. Maybe you're a 45-year-old woman today looking back on the younger version of you who married for love, not knowing you're marrying a narcissist, and so on. Imagine you're sitting opposite your inner child. And imagine you're having that conversation where your inner child is reprimanding you, simply saying to you, Richard, what the hell are you doing? Let me go. I want to cross over into the light. I don't want to be here any longer. This was a horrible place for me. Give me back the details and baggage of my past. It was my pain and my hurt, and I overcame it. And when you give life to it, you're volunteering to be a victim for my trauma. And this is the wrong thing to be doing. You're betraying me and self-sabotaging your life in the present. My past has no place in your life. I don't need you to fight my battles for me or to suffer my pain for me. I dealt with this already. You wouldn't be alive today if I hadn't overcome it. The fact that you're standing today means that I defeated this trauma. And you giving life to it in the present is a betrayal of me and you're self-sabotaging. You're giving life to my past. You're honoring my abuser, and that's wrong on every level. Please give me back my crap so I can leave this plane of existence. And once you can come to that realization that this is your truth, well, then you're able to give the details and the baggage back to your inner child by completing the healing event called Healing Any Trauma Memory, which is available exclusively on the Amazon platform. When you complete this 2-hour event, you're then ready to do the 12-step program of Trauma Recovery Anonymous to undo all the learned dysfunction behavior of that mental disorder diagnosis, or in most of our cases, a mental disorder misdiagnosis, because the effect was never the problem. It was the cause. And the cause was what happened to your younger self. You don't ask yourself, how did that make you feel? That's the wrong question. You ask yourself, what happened in the past to my inner child that caused him a loss of innocence that I start feeling about? No, the subject is your inner child, nothing to do with you. You're not even meant to feel about what happened to him. You can be concerned for him, but it's all about him or her, nothing to do with you. It's none of your business. This is the truth that will set you free. You may have been in therapy for months, years, even decades, believing that PTSD and depression were real states of mind, only to come to realize that I've been in therapy forever. I've been with numbers of therapists and therapies and medications, and nothing is getting better. And it's destroying everything around me. Going in with this baggage and suffering this baggage over and over again is alienating me from my family, my friends. I'm breaking bridges, ruining relationships. I want it all to cease. And if the only way to cease is to give it back to my younger self, I choose today to give the details and the baggage of that loss of innocence of my inner child back to them so they can step into the light and leave this plane of existence and go to their mansion prepared for them in our Father's mansion, where they'll get to meet all of their ancestors and be in a place where there's no hurt or harm. I can do this. I can let them go free. I can see my inner child looking at me, sitting across from me, smiling gleefully, happily, knowing that I finally see them. I finally recognize them and know the truth and allow them to go. And this moment is the most beautiful moment I can experience. I'm going to feel a release in my body, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually when I give the details and the baggage of the event back to my inner child. When I see my therapist the next time they ask me about the past and how it makes me feel, I'm saying, no, the past happened to my younger self, that young 12-year-old child. He's taken his baggage, he stepped into the light, he's gone. That details and the baggage of that event are gone. I now have the memory of what happened to that child, but the details are not mine, never were mine to suffer. They've gone from my psyche. It's not concerned about it anymore. I feel for my inner child, I pray for that inner child, but he has left this plane of existence. And now my goal is to undo the learned dysfunction behavior of that diagnosis. And if you can help me with that, so I can mend the bridges of the relationships in my life, I can get my life back on track and get a job and be a part of society, then that's the help I need you with. And that's what you work on with your therapist. You're not your past. Your past doesn't define you, because your past has got nothing to do with you. Your whole life, your whole meaning and purpose to life can only be found in these 24 hours today. And a very good way of doing this is to focus on this 1 hour here and now. So wherever you are, you're listening to my voice for this 10 or 15 minutes. This is where you are right now. When you finish listening to this, maybe you listen to it a second or a third time. Maybe you'll get some of your buddies to listen to this with you. Maybe the next thing you'll do is do me the courtesy of liking and sharing this. I never ask people to like or share my podcast, and I think I need to. So please, if you know anyone of the 390 million people that may have been misdiagnosed, please share this with them. If you know any of the other 700 million people who may have been diagnosed correctly, share this with them. Allow people to understand the past shouldn't define them, because it's not about who they are today, so it's none of their business. And share this with as many people as possible. And if you'd like to do this work, you can contact me at appointments@traumarecoveryanonymous.com. I'll have it in the link below. And you can arrange a 3-hour healing event with me, where I'll take you through the 2-hour healing event, and I'll take you through the 12 steps over 1 hour. And so you'll have your life back in 3 hours. Now, I understand it's very hard to accept that this could be a reality when you've been in therapy for years, even decades. But the truth is, it's none of your business. It never was any of your business. All you're simply doing is giving the details and the baggage back to your inner child. And it takes 2 hours. At the end of those 2 hours, You'll feel the release in your whole body and you'll know it's gone. That's all it takes. 2 hours of your life and your therapy is over. Then you complete the 12-step program of Trauma Recovery Anonymous and you return to the land of the living in the present. And you spend your whole life from this day forward living 1 hour at a time. And then you'll learn to live 8 hours at a time. 8 hours in the morning, 8 hours in the afternoon, 8 hours in the evening, 8 hours at work, 8 hours of play, 8 hours of sleep. You'll learn to focus your day in no more than 24 hours at a time. And on the bad days, you focus on 1 hour. On the good days, you focus on 8 hours. This is about you embracing your life in the present. You only have one life. Terrible to throw it away on an event that happened to somebody else. You're meant to live fully in the present moment. You were created by God to move mountains. Your meaning and purpose are to be found here and now. Maybe you share this podcast with one of your friends and they go on to create a cure for cancer or AIDS. And because you shared it, it made a difference. And no one will know that you shared it with that person, but God will know, and that's all that matters. You are not your past, and there's no guarantee that you'll wake up tomorrow morning into the unknown future. All you have are these 24 hours a day, and taking these 24 hours, 1 hour at a time, you can have a life of infinite abundance. My name is Richard Tierney. This is Trauma Recovery Anonymous, and if you'd like to do this process, please contact me. Thank you.